Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag. I have waited until midway through July, which is midway through the year, and hopefully this will give me a good idea of all the books that I want to talk about. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of the books that I'm going to be talking about in my video, but I'm going to be trying to inserting them. You guys have been telling me how much you love my bookshelves, and thank you so much for that, but right now they look a little empty because I've been taking books off to reorganize and do for my videos. So sorry my bookshelves are a little bare. Question number 1 is, what is the best book that you've read so far this year? The best book that I have chosen for the year was Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I loved Marissa Meyer's Lunar Chronicles, and I loved this story. I just thought it was amazing. I love a villain. I loved the take on this story. It was such an interesting retelling, and you got a whole different view of the story, and after I read it, I could not get enough. I was like, I hope she writes a second one. I hope she writes even the same book from a different character point of view. I just could not get enough. I needed more. I still want more. Yeah, I don't even know what else to say. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. I'm pretty sure I gave all of her Lunar Chronicles 5 stars. I might just be biased because I love her as an author and I love retellings, and I just love everything that she did in this book. Question number 2 was the best sequel that you've read so far this year. For this one, I couldn't decide. It was between Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and The Raven King, both by Maggie Stiefvater, both from the Raven Cycle series, and I couldn't choose. I loved them both so much. I just could not get enough of this series. I don't have these books because I listened to them all on audiobook, but I just thought the entire series was amazing. I did love the second book, but I only gave it 4 stars, whereas the third and fourth book of the series, I gave them both 5 stars. So I think that's part of the reason why I just love them so much. Not that I didn't enjoy the first 2, but I just love these last 2 so much. The third question is a must-read new release. So for my must-read new release is the Sandcastle Empire by Kayla Olson. This was in the June Owl Crate box, and I love dystopians, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Most dystopians, they take place years after the plague or the war or whatever has taken place, and this one, I believe it takes place during everything that's going on when the government is becoming corrupt and everything. So I think that part of it takes place on an island where they're actually hoping that they can get away from all of those things that's going on, and I don't believe that's actually the case. I think they think that's what's going on, but it's not actually what's going on. So I don't know too much about this. I think you can tell from the synopsis that I'm a little clueless about this book, but I love dystopians, so I'm really looking forward to giving this new one a try. Number 4, your most anticipated new release. I think that means books that haven't come out yet, but my most anticipated new release is Two Nights by Kathy Reichs. And when this video is going up, the book is actually out. It just came out a couple days ago, and I cannot wait to read it. I cannot wait to buy it. I am trying to put off buying it because I have so many things on my shelf right now that I need to read. As much as I love her books and as much as I'm anticipating this book, I have so many things on my shelf that I need to read, so I don't want to rush out and buy it. Number 5 is your biggest disappointment of the year. I would have to say that my biggest disappointment of the year is Anywhere But Here, and that is by Mona Simpson. It was actually turned into a movie. I had not seen the movie. We actually read this one for book club, and honestly, I was a little disappointed in myself because I'm the one that put this book in the jar. And the synopsis of this book, it said it was lighthearted and funny, and we were all so looking forward to reading it. It is an older book. It was published in 1985, so we're thinking this different kind of story, and then we started reading it and we're just shocked by the things that are going on in this book, and I'm surprised I made it through this book. I only gave it 2 stars, and I think I only gave it that 1 star because it made me appreciate the relationship that I had with my mom, because it was nothing like what was going on in this book. I apologize if you were a fan of that book or you enjoyed the movie, but I feel like I was misled by the synopsis. I did not find one thing in that book that was funny, and most of it, it left my jaw on the floor. Number 6 is your biggest surprise for the year. This one I struggled with, and I decided that my biggest surprise was Umberland by Wendy Spinelli, and unfortunately it was not a surprise in a good way. I thought that I was going to love this book because I really enjoyed the first one, and I was really surprised that I was disappointed. Not that I didn't enjoy the book, but I really thought that I was going to like the book so much more than I did. I did not think she did as good of a job with this one as she did with the first one. I felt like she did too many things close to the end of this book. She introduced new characters in like the last quarter of the book. She's trying to develop all these things. It's not happening because she doesn't have enough time. She kind of left it at like a cliffhanger ending. As far as I know, there's no sequel to this book, so I was just really disappointed. And I said it in another video that if she does create a sequel to this book, I will probably take back everything I just said. But as of right now, I've been checking Goodreads to see if she's planning on coming out with a sequel, and I haven't seen one. So unfortunately, I was a little disappointed, and I was very surprised. Number 7, your favorite new author or new to you author. For this one, I picked Maggie Stiefvater. I had never read any of her books before, and I know she's not a new author. She has quite a few series. I actually have the first book in the Shiver series on my shelf, but I have not read it. But after listening to the entire Raven Cycle series, I was so in love with her writing and her storytelling and her books and everything. So I do want to read her Shiver series. I'm looking forward to all the Crooked Saints that's coming out in the fall. I do want to get the rest of the Shiver series before I start reading it though, because I only have one, and I tend to marathon read series, so I'm holding off on reading it, but I really did enjoy her writing. Number 8, your newest fictional crush. Unfortunately, I don't have a fictional crush. Sorry. I don't know. I might enjoy reading about a character, but I guess in my mind, none of the characters that I read about can like hold a flame to my husband. Does that sound weird? I don't know. I've never like been all swoony over a character that I've read about in a book. I don't know. What can I say? Number 9 is your favorite new character. Sticking with the Raven boys, I'm gonna say that my favorite character is Ronan Lynch. I loved The Dream Thieves just for getting to learn about Ronan as a character. I just loved him. He was just so awesome to read about. He was so interesting. I don't even know why he's my favorite character out of that book. He just was. I just loved him. And I feel like out of all the characters that I've read about this year, he was the most interesting to me to read about. I just loved, especially because I listened to the books on audiobook, he was just so interesting, and I think Will Patton did such a good job of doing his voice, and just the way he spoke throughout the book, I just loved it. Number 10 is the book that made you cry. I'm trying to think if there are any, and I don't think I have one. I'm not like a really big crier during books. I feel like maybe since I've joined Goodreads, there might have been one book that made me cry, but to be honest, I can't remember what it was. Like, I don't even remember if it was like an actual make you cry or just make your eyes water up a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if I read it this year. I don't remember if I read it last year, but I can't for the life of me remember what it was or if it was this year. So I'm gonna go with there haven't been any books that made me cry, because number 11, I don't have 11 fingers, so 11. Number 11 is a book that made you happy. For this one, I decided to go with Everything Everything. I found myself smiling so much during this book. I just found the relationship of Maddie and Ollie so cute in this book. Some of the things that they would instant message each other, it was just adorable. It made me smile, and I really enjoyed this book. It really did make me so happy. For number 12, the most beautiful book cover, I picked Caraval. I do own this book, but right now my mom is reading it, so I don't have it on my shelf right now. And I'm gonna try to put a picture of it right here so that you guys can see the beautifulness of its cover. I have the US edition, but honestly, I think the UK edition is beautiful as well. I think this book is just all around beautiful. Whichever edition you have, I think it's gorgeous. It's a little difficult to talk about how beautiful it is when there's no book to look at. And the last book question is number 13, your TBR for the rest of 2017. Oh my goodness, like all of these books back here? I'm going to hold up a few of the books that I'm most interested in reading for the rest of the year. Just recently, at my local teen challenge, I found Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This will be my first Rainbow Rowell book, and actually our book club is reading Eleanor and Park. So I'm really excited to give some contemporary Rainbow Rowell-ness a try, and I was really excited that this was the collector's edition cover. So I was really excited to find this one at my local teen challenge, and it was only $1. I'd also like to read The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. This one I've been hearing that it's just one of those books that everyone needs to read. I'm not a big historical fiction person, but I do want to give this one a try because so many people have suggested to read it, and it gets such good reviews. I would like to read Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. I read The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli, and I really enjoyed that book, and I think I'd like to read Simon. One of the last things, I'm sure my TBR will change for the rest of the year. I'm sure there are a ton more books on my shelf that I will be wanting to read, but I want to read the Narnia series. I have the entire box set, which I think is so cute, and I'd like to read them. I have never read any of the Narnia books. I have seen the first movie, and I don't even know how many more there are. That's terrible. I know I've seen the first one. I maybe have seen part of the second one. Are there 3? Are there 4? I don't even know. I'm so terrible. But I would like to read the book. I started reading The Magician's Nephew at one point, and I got almost finished, and then I started reading something else and never came back to it. So I would like to read them all, and I think they would be really interesting to read. I think now that I've gotten more into reading, I think it should be a lot easier for me to read these because the books are so small. I think I can actually get through these fairly easily. So that is my mid-year freakout tag. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. And if you've read any of these books, please let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments what you're looking forward to reading for the rest of 2017. And if you'd like to be notified when I post videos, please subscribe. I try to post videos frequently on this channel. And thanks for joining me. Bye!